Well, Growers Edge, I think, has made us more money by allowing me to survey the local bids that I'm in the area that I want to sell my grain. The local elevators and the ethanol plants know that this information is out there, so they've got to be competitive if they want to get the grain. You know, we've been able to maximize our return on our farm.
Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's September 16th, 2013. To my left is Logan Burgess and I'm Brock Shimbino. We had a negative day in Chicago with soybeans being the leader to the downside. Let's turn on a fire tip to see how we ended. Corn down 2.5 cents, soybeans off 33.25 cents, wheat in Chicago off 1/4 cent today, and Kansas City was off 2.25 cents as well. You know, Logan, we were relatively unchanged on corn and wheat. You know, slightly supported for wheat by the export inspections. Yeah. But soybeans was really the leader downside, off over 33 cents.
Yeah, you know, that really was the focus today. We saw some pretty aggressive selling at times there in the soybean market. I think tomorrow and for the remainder of the week, this price level or area around 13.48 is going to be an important price level to watch. That's been the lower side of the range that we've been trading here, and I think that's going to be important to kind of dictate the direction. Is that going to hold as support, or are we going to see the bears continue to sell this here later into the week? Certainly in today's action, the selling got started early by some precipitation expectations for later in the week. As you can see here, map provided by Planalytics, we're expecting some good rains hitting areas of central Iowa there, southern Minnesota, where it's really needed here later in the week. But to be honest, looking at where this crop is in terms of development, in my opinion right now, it seems like it's going to be too little too late.
You know, we did just get the crop progress and condition ratings out, and like you said, Logan, I'm kind of in the same opinion that this precipitation is going to be a little bit too late. If you take a look at where corn was sitting on the maturity level this week, we're sitting at 22% mature. It's still rated about 53% good to excellent, so pretty good ratings there as well. But you know, the thought there was that soybeans, the precipitation is going to increase the yield potential. But you know, like you were saying, I think it is a little bit too late. If you take a look at where the soybeans are in the dropping leaves phase of production, you can see that we're about 26% of the soybean crop is in the dropping leaves phase. So you know, this precipitation would be good for that and could increase a little bit of the yield potential, but there's a lot of this crop that's mostly mature, mostly headed towards harvest here, so I don't think this precipitation is really going to pan out like most people are thinking.
Yeah, you know, it certainly might have weighed on things a little bit here today, but if we look at the numbers from the USDA on Thursday, the trade did a really good job of kind of pegging where the USDA was going to come out in terms of production. So it seems like that's kind of in the bag now at this point. The focus is really going to start turning to the demand side of the equation. And today we did get some numbers as it relates to demand. Let's take a look here. We did get the NOPA crush report out for the month of August, and as you can see, crush was off about 6 million bushels from where it was in July. Now this August crush number was right in line with trade expectations, so really not a huge surprise here. I think the big thing to keep an eye on, though, is crush here as we move throughout the marketing year. As you can see here from this table, this is showing crush by month in millions of bushels here, and you can see we've really kind of slid lower since January 2013. And really what's been driving that is how tight stocks were on the old crop for soybeans. And as a result, you know, crush facilities had a hard time getting their hands on beans, and any beans that were available were pretty darn expensive out there in the cash market. Bottom line, I think the thing to keep in mind, though, here moving forward is that in Thursday's numbers from the USDA, we did see some pretty dramatic reductions in expected production, but we didn't really see any big changes in terms of demand. And I think that's why we saw a little bit of a surprise in terms of ending stocks, and that's something to keep an eye on here moving forward. That crush figure accounts for just over 50% of soybean usage, so that's really going to be a big driver price here in the next several months, as I said, as this shift happens between focusing on production and then ultimately demand.
You know, we did get some other demand numbers here today as well. We got the export inspections numbers. You know, like I said in the intro, wheat was really the only surprise there. 46 million bushels were exported last week. Analysts were kind of expecting about 32 million bushels on the high end. So that was slightly supportive of the wheat market here today. But for corn and soybeans, not big surprises there. Corn came in a little bit above analyst expectations. But, you know, what we think we need to start focusing on here is where we stand in relation to what the USDA is projecting. For wheat, we're about 76 million bushels ahead of that projection by the USDA corn. We only have a couple weeks to report here, but we're 8.5 million bushels already behind to meet the current USDA projections, and soybeans were 9.7 million bushels behind to meet the current USDA projections there. So, you know, if we do see some reductions in demand, it could come from the crush figures, and it could come from the export figures moving forward.
Yeah, you know, certainly it's going to be important to keep an eye on that for wheat here as we approach the November WASDE report. As we know, on Thursday, the USDA projected slightly higher wheat imports, so maybe with this aggressive pace of exports, that might counter that a little bit here. We'll help keep you posted on that, though, here on GrainTV. In general, as we move through the week here, you know, not really any huge fundamentals for the grain market until we get out to the September 30th grain stocks report, but this week we will be getting EIA ethanol numbers out on Wednesday, export sales on Thursday, and we'll be reporting both of those live on Twitter at GrainTV, so you can find us over there. That kind of wraps up, though, what we saw here for a Monday in the grain market. Certainly a day when we saw a lot of weakness out of the soybean market in particular. As I said, watch that price level of 13.48 for some direction here as we move into tomorrow's trade. Thanks a lot for joining us on GrainTV. We'll see you Tuesday.